Welcome to this exclusive interview by Built Environment, a magazine that focuses on diverse aspects of the built industry. I'm Faina Ashwat, the editor. In today's conversation, we will learn about how buildings are leveraging data and technology to improve user experience. And speaking to us on this is James Massey, Managing Director, FM, Energy and Retail Intelligence of MRI Software. James has more than 20 years of experience in the tech industry, and in his current role at MRI is enabling powerful data systems to meet evolving needs. James, welcome to the show. We have with us today James Massey, Managing Director, FM Energy and Retail Intelligence of MRI, a leading provider of real estate software solutions. James, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Today we have an abundance of data available, but what are your thoughts on how we can use this data to extract more contextual insights and relevant information?
A great question. I think if we look at what we store in our everyday lives, data is everywhere. We generate terabytes and terabytes of data every single day as we just go about our normal daily lives. I think if we look at property technology and how we as a provider of property technology can help to bring data-led decisions to the foreground, I think is the critical point. If we look at how we do that, if we start at the very beginning, when we implement a project, we should always use business intelligence as a golden thread throughout any project. We should always start off at the end. What are we trying to get out of this? What insights are we trying to drive into an organization through building our systems in the right way? So, we will look at, for example, categorization of task types potentially, or we can look at prioritization, or any of those sorts of key data attributes that we want to then working at the value from. And then working across integrated ecosystem, being able to leverage the power of, for example, core property management, facilities management, and energy management, bringing all those into the foreground. So MRI recently launched an ecosystem called MRI Agora, which is actually a Greek word for a meeting place.
Yeah.
Being able to give people deep insights into information, be able to drill down from a very, very, very high level or down to the very minutiae detail. I think all of those things combined then give people the ability to make data-led decisions. It allows that insight into what's happening. And when we look at things like prediction, we're going to come on later on to talk about artificial intelligence. Again, all those things that lead then to a powerful data set which people can leverage.
Great. So we all know the benefits of centralized data. So in your opinion, what is the most practical way for an organization to get data-driven operations started?
If we look at data isolation as the first point of that, I think a combined data lake data ecosystem is exceptionally powerful, in fact invaluable in this day and age. Where we try to improve organizations' experiences is through removing or eradicating data isolation, because if we've got data sat in repository 1, repository 2, repository 3, for example, and those three things don't talk, is there a risk, is there an inherent risk in not having all those things easily accessible? And I think organizations who have the ability to look at multiple products, look at multiple solutions at the same time in a single framework is absolutely the key point. But also bringing in external data sets. So we talk about our own products, we've obviously discussed those. Yes. But actually if we look to bring in things like big data sources, such as, for example, weather or traffic or crime statistics or education statistics, etc. All of those publicly accessible big data sources, again, can help to give multi-dimensional business intelligence. So again, let's look at all these things. Again, when we talk about AI shortly, we'll again talk about how we can make some predictions from that.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about how MRI solutions are helping the real estate industry to boost productivity and gain a competitive advantage?
One of the key productivity improvement thing in the last maybe 20 years has been the invention of mobile working. Again, yes. we sit here today in Dubai with mobile phones in our pockets, and everyone's got tablets and laptops and all those kind of key things. I think the more that we've been able to give people data at a time, place, format, media to suit themselves, it's been one of the most productive things that we can do. We've eradicated paper in organizations. Not only does that give removal of those sorts of things, but also it gives people more information. It can help to mitigate risk. If we send an engineer out, for example, to go and fix the HVAC unit, that individual will have all the repairs history, potentially have the manuals, they will have all the diagrams, all of those information things that you could probably never ever do if it was on paper. You'd maybe take like a 200 pages of documentation. Now it's all accessible on a mobile device. I think if we look at the biggest productivity gain, I think that's absolutely one of them. I think the second one then is about high availability of solutions. You know, the world is no longer Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. It's now 24/7. You know, we live in, this city is one of the most active cities on the planet. And I think our ecosystem of high availability, you know, cloud-based computing, rapid scalability has been one of the key things, again, where we've improved organizations' productivity.
Right. So talking about AI and data analytics, how is it helping the real estate industry to get more actionable insights for strategic decision making?
I think artificial intelligence is here. You know, it's been around for 20 years, really. Robotic process automation has been around for many, many years. And, you know, we sit here, we've got iPhones, we've got Android phones, we've got Hey Siri, we've got Google, we've got Alexa, we've got all these things which are basically all artificial intelligence engines. I think where now it's coming more into the mainstream, you know, ChatGPT, Google's Bard, etc. How can these solutions start to drive innovations into property technology? You know, if I look at things like chatbot technology, so as opposed to having somebody you know, basically on the phone, you know, taking a call and taking an action, can an AI chatbot now start to do that for me? You know, if I talk to Emirates Airlines, who I'm obviously flying back to the UK with, you know, the first 3 or 4 interactions with their website via a chatbot is automated. There's nobody answering those particular questions. They're fully automated processes. I think as that sort of tech comes into property technology, into facilities management, for example, that will become a very, very, very interesting driver. I think as we bring together more data sets such as Internet of Things, smart buildings, you know, all these sensor ecosystems that all exist now, bringing all those to the foreground and presenting all that data set out there and using prediction, use artificial intelligence to say, let's look back at trends, let's look back at the last time it was maybe over 45 degrees. Let's look back at how all the heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems worked during that period of time. Let's look back at which make models failed the most during that particular type of weather, because then artificial intelligence can start then to predict things. So we can start to say, for example, to facilities managers, actually the last time I got over 45 degrees, this particular make of HVAC unit always failed. And therefore, let's get ahead of the game. We know what the weather forecast is going to be because we know that from a big data source, and we know what make and model we've got because the CAFM system tells us that, and therefore let's try and get ahead of the game. And I think a lot of artificial intelligence in prop tech will come down now to prediction. It's no longer, we look at the past to predict the future. I think that's the very, very key thing. But again, only works if we've got the data sets from the very beginning. So when the first question was around, we start off at the core building blocks of these products, that's what's going to make a big difference.
Okay, so what sort of integrated solutions does MRI offer to property management companies or community management firms to provide users with a more superior holistic experience?
Yeah, so I think the last point there is around the holistic experience. You know, MRI have been around for 51, 52 years now. You know, global business, all geared around property technology. You know, very well known, you know, in terms of the sector. You know, if we start off on our core foundation, which is property management, finance, lease accounting, lease abstraction, all those kind of core building blocks, wrap it around there, then we will look at things like facilities management, energy management, retail intelligence. So, which is an interesting dimension, the retail intelligence one, because that brings about a new ability now to start to understand how people are using the assets. You know, if we have maybe a shopping mall, we can start to understand just what the footfall is in there. We can start to understand how much energy we're using. We know exactly how much that building costs to build because our system tells us. We know what the lease return is on that because we know every single unit that's in there. We know the facilities costs because all the CAFM system wraps around there as well. So our combined ecosystem of property management, energy management, facilities management, footfall tracking, retail, and all of those things that combined together give an exceptionally powerful set of combined solutions with an immense data set. However, also we also understand the fact that not everybody wants to take all of our products. They may have a strategic decision to go down a different route. Therefore, one of our key missions is to be open and connected. And I think actually, if we look at our integration architecture globally, we're a very, very, very open supplier. We have lots and lots of integration architecture through API frameworks. And I think the more open we can become, the more people can enjoy the data that comes out of our systems, the more business-led decisions and data-led decisions that they can then make. So hopefully that answers that question.
So as a pioneer of real estate software solutions, what in your opinion are the challenges that the region is facing, and what solutions do you have to overcome these?
I think the speed that the Middle East is moving now is immense. If we look at what's happened outside these windows, in terms of the last 20 years in Dubai, what's happened now in Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. One of the key challenges, I think, is how we keep customers informed about what's possible. If we look at our technology ecosystem that we've been through over this conversation, there's so much potential. I think one of the challenges is making people aware of what's possible, what the investment strategy needs to be around those things as well, because I think one challenge is technology is freely available, we all know that, but I think what we need to look at though is how organizations need to invest in tech. I think it's our jobs as a pioneer of technology, as you referred to as, is to explain to people the business benefits in this. What happens if we deploy an Internet of Things ecosystem into your building? What can you draw from that? And again, you've talked earlier on about drawing business benefits from artificial intelligence. I think the key issue in region is making people aware about what's possible. It's about explaining to people how investment strategies work. It's about explaining to people how the speed and rapidity of technology is moving so fast now. Artificial intelligence is becoming 10 times better, every so many years. And I think education is really, really important. What's possible, explaining the business benefits to it, they will be my key things here.
Then the final question, could you tell us a little bit about the current technologies that you're working on?
We're working on some very, very cool tech. I think technology is obviously, it's been my career for the last 27 years, so I'm a big fan of technology. The smarter integrated ecosystem is very, very powerful. We've just deployed a solution in our office in London, in our head office based in the City of London. So we've now actually using our own solutions. So actually we're kind of tasting our own soup, I would say. So we've now deployed our footfall tracking, our Internet of Things, our air quality sensors, our CAFM system. All of these products now are all working homogeneously now inside our office. So literally as our people walk into the office now, they check in with our on location platform. They're counted in the building through our footfall tracking. We're monitoring things like how many people are on a particular floor and how much energy is that floor using. So we can start doing some really interesting things around, say, well, actually, is this building underutilized, but we're still powering, heating, ventilating every single floor? So again, taking on board things like real-time attendance, and then dynamically changing the way people use the building is very, very interesting. And all those data sets combined, again, are giving us something very powerful. So we're talking a lot about that. We talk a lot about self-service. So I think every landlord, be that residential or commercial, now needs to be digitally attentive. I think it's very, very, very important that they think about that digital attentiveness, and it's how we can facilitate that. So we've got some very, very, very interesting things around self-service apps, self-service portals, using some things around augmented reality coming down the line. So these are some of the really exciting things to come in the future.
Sounds really interesting, James. Thank you very much
No
for your
problem
time.
at all. Thanks so much for your time.
That was a great conversation with James Massey, Managing Director, FM, Energy and Retail Intelligence at MRI Software. James has given us some interesting learning about how AI and IoT are powering PropTech, and has given us a glimpse into how MRI is now using its own solutions in its offices for monitoring aspects such as energy consumption, footfall tracking and air quality systems. Thank you, James, for your time. It was great having you with us.